Hey everyone, Evo here, back with another tutorial video. Today, I'm going to go over my recommended tabletop simulator settings, quickly walk through some controls, and show you the scripted features and automation available for my Pokemon Deckbuilding Game mod. Let's start by launching Tabletop Simulator, then take a look at some settings that will improve your play experience. To open the settings, let's click this gear icon, then let's click on the Interface tab. If needed, you can adjust the scale to fit the size of your screen. I'm also a big fan of setting the theme to a dark mode. We can do so by simply clicking dark here. Now, let's click the miscellaneous settings button. Here, I'd recommend unchecking hand view. We can ignore most of these settings, but let's scroll most of the way down until we find mouse shake threshold. I recommend setting this all the way down to 0. Scroll down just a little bit more and make sure card is a deck for hotkeys, hand component hotkey draw, and keyboard single digit by default are all checked. Then we can close this window by clicking this red X here. Make sure we apply these changes, and then close the settings with this red X at the top right. Now that our settings are taken care of, let's create a table. Click create, and let's do single player for now. This window will look mostly blank if you're newer to Tabletop Simulator. Let's click on this blue workshop button, and then click on browse. This will open up the Steam workshop page for Tabletop Simulator. Let's use this search box here, and we're going to type in Pokemon Deckbuilding, and then press enter. We're looking for Pokemon Deckbuilding Game Collection. Go ahead and click on it. And then click on this green subscribe button. Once it does say that you are subscribed, you can close out of this. Click this back to game button. And now you should see Pokemon Deckbuilding Game Collection in your workshop tab here. Go ahead and click on it and select load. This may take just a moment to load up the very first time. Players who may be newer to Tabletop Simulator, let's quickly go over some controls. To start with, at the top right of the screen, we can click on our name and select Change Color. Here, we can click on any of these circles to sit at that spot at the table. To pan the camera, we can use W, A, S, or D on our keyboard. We can zoom in or out by using the mouse scroll wheel. We can rotate the camera with our arrow keys. And to reset our view, we can simply press spacebar. To draw cards, we can hover over a deck or even a single card and press one of the number keys on our number row. If we ever need to zoom in on an object to more clearly see it, we can mouse over that object and hold the Alt key. While we're zoomed in, we can use our mouse scroll wheel to further zoom in or out. We can also rotate this object by either pressing Q or pressing E. The amount of degrees rotated is controlled by this degrees rotation button at the top right of the screen. I recommend setting this to 90. To add a card to your hand, there are a few ways we can do this. We can either hover over the card or deck and select one of the numbers on our number row, or we can click and hold and then drag that back to our hand zone. If we like to group objects together, we can either box select them or control click on each card individually, and then press G for group. Alternatively, if we'd like to group onto an existing object, we can select our cards, mouse over the object we'd like to group to, and then press G. If you ever need to shuffle a deck, you can mouse over the deck and press R for randomize. To search a deck, simply right-click it and select Search. there's a search box at the top right that we can type into to more easily find specific cards. You can draw a line to things by holding Tab and then moving your mouse. You can ping anywhere on the table by pressing Tab. Notice that ding sound that it makes. All players at the table can hear that. And that covers the basic controls. This table has a lot of custom scripting to make playing as smooth and as fast as possible, while still getting the feel of playing in person. Let's open the notebook at the top of the screen to read over some of these features. You'll notice some tabs on the left for info, contacts, and tools and commands. Let's go ahead and click on Tools and Commands. And here, we'll see a list of different commands that are available. To type in Tabletop Simulator, you can press Enter, type in whatever message you would like, and then press Enter again to send that message. Let's try one of these chat commands. Type !flip, and then press Enter. You'll notice a broadcast in the middle of the screen. This simulates flipping a coin. At the bottom left corner, we'll also see this message printed into the chat box. Below this, we'll see some scripting keys listed. By default, scripting keys are bound to your numpad. You can change this by going to Menu, Configuration, Controls, and then scrolling all the way down. Here you'll see options for scripting 1 through scripting 10. If you need to adjust these, feel free to click in here and type whatever you would like. Let's go through some of these scripting keys. Let's draw a couple of cards into our hand. If we press numpad 1, we're going to discard a random card from our hand. Notice that the result is also printed into our chat box that the rest of the table can also see. Each player additionally has 2 different hand zones on the table. If we press numpad 2, the cards in our first hand zone will move back to our second hand zone. And then vice versa with numpad 5. This can be useful when we have cards that ask us to look at the top however many cards of a deck. To do that, we'd press numpad 2 to move our hand back to our second hand zone, and then draw those cards. Do whatever we need to do. And then press numpad 5 to put our hand back into our primary hand zone. If at any point our deck is empty and we need to shuffle our discard pile back into our deck, we can press numpad 3. Additionally, this discard pile text is actually a button that we can click, and it'll perform that action for us as well. To more quickly destroy cards in this game, we can either hover or select whichever objects we'd like to destroy, and then press numpad 4. You'll notice those cards get moved to the destroyed pile, and also a message gets printed into the chat box on the bottom left. To quickly place cards into our score zone, we can again select cards and press numpad 6. If you notice at the top of the screen, there's a corresponding zone here that's color-coded for each player at the table. We additionally have some scripting to more easily manipulate and or stack decks of cards. Let's just put some cards here. If we need to stack a card on the bottom of the main deck, we can select that card, and then press numpad 7. You'll notice that the current deck moved up into the air. The card we wanted to place on bottom went below it, and then everything falls to form a new deck. We have a similar command here to stack a card on top of the main deck with numpad 9. Again, this main deck text is also a button. We can select the card and then either left click to place a card on top of the deck, or right click to place that card on the bottom of the main deck. We also have a similar setup for numpad 8 and our deck. If we'd like to move a card to the bottom of our deck, we can select it and press numpad 8. Or we can do the same thing with the button for deck. Either left click to go on top of our deck, or right click to go to the bottom. If for any reason we do not want to display the name of the card that we're performing an action on, we can first flip that card face down. So as an example, if we want to put this tackle on the bottom of our deck, but we don't want our opponents to know which card was placed there, we can flip it face down first, and then press numpad 8. And if you look in the chat box now, it no longer displays the actual name of the card. And lastly, to more easily announce targets for your different effects throughout the game, if you press tab on the trainer zone of an opponent, it will announce that you are targeting that player. You'll see this printed in the chat box, and then that player will also have a broadcast saying that you are targeting them. Now let's walk through actually loading up a game and using some of the tools that assist with playing. At the top right of the screen, you'll see this Pokeball icon. Go ahead and click on it. Then here we can select whichever game we'd like to load up. Additionally, there's some options at the bottom to either enable or disable clearing the table or playing intro music. Let's go ahead and unselect this play intro music and then click on Pokemon Deckbuilding Game. Now make sure all the players that are going to play in this game are seated at the table before loading up the game. Each player will be dealt their starting deck, and then the potion stacks and poison stacks will have the appropriate amount of cards dealt out. Most games will include a stack of trainer cards and any other unique cards for that game mode. We can see these on the table extension up here. Typically, you'll flip over the stack of trainers and shuffle it a couple of times, and then right click and press deal twice. This will deal out 2 trainers to each player at the table. They can select whichever one they'd like to use, and place the other back, and then go ahead and select their appropriate starting card. Go ahead and grab that starting card, any energy removals and tackles, and have that form our player deck. You can flip that and shuffle it a couple of times. Now, if any player at the table has an ability that says that they go first, such as this Gary card, then they would click on Start Clicker, and they would automatically be set as the first player for the game. Otherwise, click on Start Random, and this will randomize who is the first player. You'll notice this play area board that spawned in front of that trainer, as well as a turn tracker tool. Let's take a closer look at some of these buttons on the turn tracker tool. We can click on Shuffle Decks, and that will click any appropriate decks of the table for that game mode, such as the main deck, the mythical Pokemon stack, or this evolution stack here. We'll go ahead and click Shuffle Decks a couple of times. We can either click this Refill Route button, or there's also a button here that we can select. This will automatically fill the route for us. Let's go ahead and draw our starting hand of 5 cards. Go ahead and drag our cards here to play them. Notice we have 2 energy. Now, something unique, whenever it is our turn, if we mouse over a card that's in the route, we're going to see these new icons appear just below the card. If we hover over this icon, you're going to see a button that can be clicked. Let's go ahead and click on this to gain opponents automatically for us. And then when we're done with our turn, we can press End Turn. Whenever we do press End Turn, it's going to automatically refill the route. Any cards that are in our play area will automatically get discarded. And then if the top card of the challenge stack is face down, it will automatically get flipped face up. Do note that it does not discard any cards that are in your hand. If you have any left over, you will have to manually discard those if needed. Let's go ahead and click on End Turn. Now, if there was another player sitting at the table, this play area board would have moved across to them, as well as the turn tracker would have been placed next to that player as well. Now, normally, when a player wants to evolve a Pokemon, such as a Squirtle here, they would have to right-click the evolution stack, select search, and then find the card that they would like, and then manually drag it out, and then place their card under their trainer zone or in their score zone here. This process has been streamlined. We can easily automate it by right-clicking on the card we'd like to evolve and selecting Evolve. it will automatically find that card for us, and then place that card onto our score pile. If we have a card that has multiple evolution options, whenever we right click it, we're going to see each option listed here. We'll go ahead and select one. Now, if that option is no longer available, we're going to see a chat message that will say that the specified evolved Pokemon was not found in the stack, and we can instead choose a different option. Whenever you're attacking a player, we learned earlier that you can hold tab to draw to that opponent, or you can press tab to target that player and have a broadcast sent to them. If you'd like to announce that you're defending, you can right click that defense card and select Defend Attack. Now, some other types of cards that may enter the route may have different hover icons. For instance, these encounters that say they can't be bought or gained, and at the end of the turn they're supposed to be destroyed, will have this X that you can click to automatically destroy them. Cards that automatically get placed under your trainer whenever you gain them will have a slightly different icon, and whenever you click on it, it'll automatically be placed under your trainer, which is the same as placing into your score pile here. Along with that, any other hover button can also be right-clicked to have that card be placed into your score zone. Additionally, regardless of whose turn it is, any player can hover the Poison and Status Condition stack and click on this exclamation point. For game modes that have more than one card type in the stack, clicking that button will instead bring up a dialog option to select between the various card types. There are a few more scripted actions that we can take advantage of. At the top of the screen, we can click on Options, then go to Game Keys. Here we'll see a couple of new actions that we can bind keybinds to. For example, we have a keybind to automatically evolve a Pokemon, to move any selected cards to our discard pile, or to announce a defense automatically. Let's try one of those out. We'll hover over Grammar here and press the key to auto-evolve them. We can select a card to announce this defense, and we can also press a card to move it to our discard pile. At the top right of the screen, next to the Pokeball icon, we can click on this Mod Commands button. The host or any manually promoted player will see the screen come up. Here they can select from each player that's listed, and they can choose to kick that player, mute them, or move them to any selected color. And finally, when the game is over and you're ready to calculate scores, have each player start by unlocking their trainer, box select each card that they own, hover over a card in their score zone, and press G. This will group all of the cards into their appropriate score zone. Once everyone has done so, click this green Calculate XP button. This will automatically tally everyone's XP value and print out the winner below. When you're ready to load a new game, simply click on the Pokeball icon and select whichever game you'd like to load. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial video. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Until next time, thanks for watching.